The Call of Duty Black Ops 6 open beta dropped last weekend and I got the chance to play the game, and first of all I have to say arguably this is one of the worst betas that I've played recently for a Call of Duty game. The game generally has a lot of issues with servers, latency, hit registration, and the skill based matchmaking was cranked up to 100%, so the lobbies are so sweaty and honestly not that fun to play. But today we're gonna keep everything aside, talking all about the performance of the game, and I test out the game on my system, which is a Ryzen 7 5800X with a RTX 3070Ti on the most popular resolutions with different setting combinations. So if you have some sort of a similar system, this video will help you to get and understand how the game actually performs. Alright, I'm starting with 1080p resolution, extreme preset, basically everything set to maxed out, and without using any upscaling methods like DLSS or FSR, I was getting about 75 to 90 FPS, which is a pretty decent frame rate in my opinion, and also the GPU load is almost close to like 100%, and also as you guys can see the GPU power usage is pretty low because I'm using an undervolting profile on my 3070 Ti, which helped me to get about the same performance as a default 3070 Ti, but using significantly less power, and also the graphic card runs much more cooler. So if you get an Nvidia 30 series graphic card, undervolting is something you should absolutely try out.
Losing Bravo. They're taking C.
Alright, now I'm gonna turn on the DLSS and set it to quality on the same resolution on extreme preset, and now I'm easily getting past 95 to 120 FPS, which is really solid in my opinion considering we are running the game on extreme preset, and DLSS quality even in 1080p looks pretty fine to me and gives you a pretty significant boost to your overall frame rate. And if you're someone who play the game more competitively, I don't think you're gonna play the game on extreme preset. You can always go ahead and turn everything down to low and get a massive frame rate boost. And the game also does support frame generation, which is something very commonly seen nowadays on games, but unfortunately RTX 30 series graphic card does not support Nvidia frame generation. Instead we have to use the AMD FSR 3 frame gen. So on extreme preset 1080p resolution, AMD FSR 3 set to quality with the frame generation on, I was basically double my frame rate, and now I'm getting more than 150 to 180 FPS, but unfortunately it doesn't really feel that smooth when you're playing the game. It doesn't feel like you're playing the game with 150 plus FPS, and also with the frame generation turned on, you will also get a massive latency to your system, especially if you are playing a game like Call of Duty, which is super fast paced. You need your latency to be absolutely lowest. So in a game like this, especially in multiplayer games, I would not recommend turning on frame generation. On single player story games it is pretty fine, but in a fast paced game like Call of Duty it does give you a massive disadvantage. Alright, next up we got 1440p, arguably the most popular resolution nowadays. So I'm trying the game out on 2560 1440 on extreme preset without using any upscaling methods. The game is somewhat demanding for a graphic card like 3070 Ti. I was getting about 45 to 60 FPS, and it is definitely not acceptable in a fast-paced game like Call of Duty. We need to get our frame rate as high as possible. So when I play any game on 1440p on this 3070 Ti, I basically turn on DLSS and set it to quality. On 1440p DLSS quality looks really good, and also it gives you a significant boost to your overall frame rate. So on extreme preset DLSS set to quality, I was getting about 65 to 80 FPS most of the time, which is really solid, and honestly the game does look really good on the highest preset, and it is ideal to play the single player portion of the game. But when it comes to multiplayer, I usually optimize my settings, basically turn down everything that I don't necessarily need in order to maximize my frame rate, which I will show you about in a minute.
Good effect. HVT under fire.
Target removed.
Enemy HVT on site. Take them out. They got our HVT.
Enemies have destroyed your...
Friendly HVT on site. Keep them safe.
Pull your head out of your arms and check your fucking targets!
And also you can turn on the AMD FSR 3 frame generation just for fun, and I basically double my frame rate, getting about 120 to 140 FPS. But as I previously said, it doesn't really feel that smooth, and it also comes with a massive latency. And finally, I'm going to show you guys the most optimized settings that I found, and basically turn down every setting that I not necessarily need for multiplayer and optimize it to get the best possible frame rate. And also when it comes to upscaling methods, you can either use DLSS or FSR if you need better frame rate, but I personally like to use the Fidelity FX cast, which gives you like a nice sharpness to your game, and in order to get a nice balance, I'm setting it to about 75. And rest of the settings are here. If you need it, you can easily copy it. So when I test the game out on 1440p on these optimized settings without using any upscaling methods, I'm getting more than 100 FPS all the time and close to like 120. The game looks really clean, and also there is no any latency. Overall, it's performed really well. And also if you need a little bit more frame rate, there are a few things that you can do, especially if you are in a 1080p like a high refresh rate monitor. You can basically turn down the resolution to 1080p. And if you're using a 1440p gaming monitor, you can basically turn on Nvidia DLSS and set it to quality. And overall, the game looks really good and also give you a frame rate about 120 to 150 FPS, which is really solid in my opinion. Well, there you have it guys. This is Black Ops 6 open beta. The playtest had a lot of issues, server issues, and most of the time you guys can see I'm getting hit markers and not getting the kill, and I'm ended up dying super quickly. Hit registration, server latency is terrible in my opinion, so they need a lot of optimization before the game launch. Overall performance is okay in my opinion. It seems a little bit more demanding than Modern Warfare 2 or 3. I personally not that interested in buying the game at launch, but let me know down below what do you think about the Black Ops 6 open beta if you got the chance to play. Well, finally guys, if this video helpful to you in some way, definitely go ahead and drop a like, subscribe, and stay tuned. I'll catch you guys soon in the next one. Stay safe.
Securing Alpha. They're taking C.